Okay, welcome everyone. Today's topic is biggest age with auction properties. So it's a I love this topic because personally we've been focusing on bank-owned properties. So properties that have been taken over by the bank, so REOs or shadow inventory. But we're going to start by showing you the foreclosure process because you need to understand there are two types of auctions. So I want to make sure that you understand the difference and how you can buy properties directly at the auctioning sites or in person. Okay, so let's just start with the basics, and then I'm going to take you to the next step, how you can pretty much beat the competition. Very incredible. Okay, so let's start with the foreclosure process. There are two types of estates, judicial and non-judicial. So Illinois happens to be a judicial estate. What it means is that all the blue states, which are judicial, they have to go through the court system to foreclose on the property. So what's the foreclosure process? When an individual takes a loan from the bank and for whatever reason they default on the mortgage payment, then the bank is going to take over the property. That's simple, okay? Now the gray estates, those are the non-judicial estates. So those estates, they can foreclose on the owner without having to go to the court system, which is huge. Let me give an example. Judicial estates, all the ones in blue, can take up to 2 years or more before they can foreclose on the owner, okay? So it's huge. Non-judicial estates can take up average 3 to 6 months. And Georgia is the exception. In Georgia, banks can foreclose in as little as 4 weeks. It's insane, friends. So now what are the consequences of living in a judicial state like Illinois? The consequences are that distressed properties are going to recycle back into the market 2 years later. So we will always be lagging behind. So our market, real estate market, will always rebound a lot later. So we will always be step behind from the judicial estates. So that's the only difference. Now let's get into the foreclosure process. Okay, so in here, I just want you to understand the steps. Very simple. So when the owner, for whatever reason, misses the payment, then the bank is going to give them a call. They're going to send letters. And then after 30 to 90 days, they will officially file a lawsuit against the owner, which is called in legal terms lien pendens. So the owner will enter the pre-foreclosure process at that point. Okay. Next, 6 to 9 months pass by, so the case is already in the court system. So now the judge is going to say, well, it's been long enough. Now we're going to issue the auction date. It's in legal terms called the notice of trustee sale. So they're going to give the date when the property is going to get auctioned off, okay, to pay the creditor. In this case, the bank. Okay, so at that point, 9 to 12 months have gone by and the owner has not come current with the loan. So that is why they're going to auction off the property. So here we come to the auction. Now, this is what I want you to understand. Super important. These auctions are held at the courthouse in the given county, okay, where the property belongs to. These auctions are held in person, and the problem with these auctions is that a lot of investors show up, but here are the drawbacks. If you happen to go to an in-person auction, you're going to be bidding against other investors. Therefore, you most likely will overpay for the property. You're buying sight unseen. You have to pay cash within 24 hours, okay? So the drawbacks are just huge. You can lose your shirt. That is why we don't recommend for you to go to in-person auctions at the courthouse. Okay, it is just way too risky. Even if you have the money, it is not recommended, because in order for you to grow in real estate, you have to leverage from other people's money. You shouldn't use your own money, because otherwise, if you use all your money, your liquidity, you won't be able to grow in real estate. So that is the in-person auction. It has many names. It could be called sheriff auction, trustee auction, judicial auction, or just auction. So you're going to hear those four terms, but it relates to the in-person auction, the one that you should not go to. Okay, I'm just going to make it very clear. Please do not go to the in-person auctions. So next, what happens if at the judicial auction, nobody buys the property, okay? Because that's a possibility, right? That there are no investors, or the property, it's in a maybe bad neighborhood, or it's too expensive, and nobody buys the property. So that happens very often. So what's gonna happen is that now the property is going to become banked on property, okay? So let me just click on the next slide. Boom, it becomes what's called REO, or shadow inventory. So the difference is that at this point, the bank is the owner of the property. Before that, in live, in-person auction, the owner was entitled of the property. So that's the big difference. Before, you were gonna deal with the owner before the live auction, but after the live auction, and if nobody bought it, then you're gonna be dealing with the bank directly. So it's a banked on property. So now, let me tell you, the banks are not in the business of real estate. They're in the business of lending. So what are they gonna do with these properties? Because they're not foreclosing one, two, three, they're foreclosing hundreds. Especially now with the crisis, in about 3 to 6 months, there are going to be thousands and thousands of foreclosures coming down the pipe. So now the bank is going to dispose of the properties. So what does the bank do to dispose of the properties? They're going to give the properties to an REO broker, and also they are going to post the properties in the auctioning platforms. Okay, so these are the most common auctioning platforms. So you have Hubzu, Auction.com, Hudson and Marshall, Williams and Williams. Those are the four major ones. And there's one more, Xoom, or Xoom, X-O-O-M-E, okay? Actually, X-O-M-E. So those are the five major auctioning sites. So you have two options. You either intercept the property before it goes to the live auction, or you buy it at the auctioning platforms. Those are the only two options that you have. But as I told you before, never, ever, ever buy a property from the in-person auction. You could lose your shirt. You've got to pay cash, okay? So if you are going to buy the property directly from the bank, then you can do it at these sites, Auction.com, Hubzu.com, and so forth, okay? Now, what's the problem with these websites? That you're still bidding against other investors. The only difference is that it's online, right? So it's not in person. Some of them, and most of them, will also ask you to pay cash for the properties. And not only that, but you also have to pay what's called a buyer's premium, which is sort of like how the website, the auctioning platform, is going to make money, okay? It's like a 2 to 5% premium on top of the winning bid, okay? So now, having said that, let's dive into some examples of properties that are going for auction. And in particular, I'm going to talk about Auction.com, because it's something that is very confusing for investors. Because guess what? Auction.com promotes live auctions. So it is so confusing. because people think they're going to be bidding online, but they're not. They're just promoting the live auction. So they want people to go to the live auction, but they also have obviously the online auctions. But something really cool, friends. With either one of those two auctions, you can easily overpay for the property if you don't know your numbers. So how do we solve that problem? In ChicagoDealVault, we're going to give you the numbers that you need to stick to. So if you decide to buy it on these auctioning sites, that you will never ever overpay for the property. Not only that, but we have a connection from Texas that we know of every single property that goes into all these auctioning platforms: Hubzu, Auction.com, Hudson and Marshalls, Williams and Williams. Every platforms we know. And not only that, but it is extremely powerful that we know what the bank's reserve is. Now, what does that mean? So when the property goes to the auctioning sites, the bank has a price that they're going to sell the property for, and that's called bank reserve. So when you go to these auctioning websites, guess what? Most of the times, over 80% of the times, you don't know how much the banks are going to sell the property for. Why? Because the banks want you to overbid each other so they maximize the profit. Does that make sense? Well, guess what? Every single property has a bank reserve. So we know what that is. And most importantly, guess what? Even if the property is at any of these auctions, we can pull it from the back door. So we could have the property in these auctions, but if we like it, we know the purchase price of it or the reserve price. Not only that, but if we decide to buy that property, our connection is going to pull strings to get the property from the back door, regardless of however many people started bidding on the property, which is huge. And most importantly, guess what? Even if on the auctioning sites it says cash only, guess what? We will be able to finance the transaction. So we don't need to pay cash. And in fact, we never pay cash. For one, we don't have unlimited resources. And two, even if we had them, we wouldn't use them because we want to use other people's money to be able to grow exponentially. So you always want to use asset-based lenders like Harmony lenders, private money lenders. So I just want to make sure that you fully understand that, and then let's dive into some examples. Okay, so now one question is, are the backdoor REOs with DealVault? Yes, absolutely. They're just within DealVault. So that's just an incredible inventory that we get on a weekly basis. We start getting inventory today through Friday. So last week we got about 850 properties, which is huge, right? That we can pull behind the back door. So you don't need to bid against anybody. We'll just pull it from the back door, and we know how much the bank is willing to sell the property for. So that prevents us from losing money or overpaying for the property. Do you see the value of that? I mean, it is just huge. Every time we pull a property, we save 60, 70, 80,000. Because when we look at the auctioning site, people are already bidding, like, let's say over 100,000, over 200,000, when we're going to buy the property for like 150, 160. It's just ridiculous. We just save a ton of money. But it doesn't matter what people bid the property for. We will buy it only for what the bank is willing to sell it for. So it's just incredible. That's actually what we're focusing on right now, just banked on properties. Why? Because we have no competition, we can finance the deal, and we will never ever overpay for the property, and there's no risk. So I want to make that available to all of you. If you want to buy properties, I suggest, if you're thinking about auctions, that should be your only way to buy properties. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive into some examples. okay? So this is what I want to show you. In auction.com, here, I just looked up a property in Allsip. And then, so I logged on to auction.com. We have an account. And by the way, once you have access to this inventory that we get from our partner in Texas, you cannot bid on the auctioning sites because your information, like you know, the bank's reserve, and people don't know the bank reserve, but we do. So you cannot bid on the sites. You only need to do it through DealVault. So this is an example. I looked at property. I mean, I just wanted to see, give me all the properties in Allsip. The reason why I picked Allsip, because Allsip is the second top rental market in Chicago. Number one is Berkeley, but Allsip is number two. Property values are very reasonable, but rents are very strong, close to 1,900, 2,000. So the numbers work amazing in Allsip. So let me just give an example. So this property, what I want to show you is, you need to understand, is this an in-person auction or is this an online auction, right? So you really need to know. So the way to do that is you scroll down and you see here, it says location. It says it's in Madison, downtown, 120 West Madison. So it's downtown Chicago. That's where the live auction is going to take place. So we are referring to this place where you are not supposed to go, right? So this is the live auction. This is where the Shark Tanks go. This is where you can lose your shirt. Okay, I just want to make sure that everyone can hear me. Okay, so what I was saying is that the problem here is that what's confusing is that auction.com is just sending people over to the live auction. Now, let me give an example. I just did a search on Chicago or Allsip. So as you can see here, it says foreclosure right here below the date. I clicked on the property. Let me just go back. It says right below the date whether it's in person or it's online auction. Okay, so let me quickly go back to the main search. And right here, I have it. So right here, banked on, like where it says auction dates, it gives you the date, and then it says banked on online. Those are the ones that you're interested in. Banked on online, banked on online. Very, very simple, okay? You don't want to look at the ones that say foreclosure sale in person. You don't want to be there, okay? You want to look at the ones that say online. So just for sakes, let me give you an example. So this property that is in Allsip, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the address. So this is going to go to the judicial auction right here. Okay, so I'm going to look it up in DealVault. Because if for whatever reason you decide to go to the live auction just for sakes, guess what? We're going to tell you the numbers. So some of our members have decided to buy properties at the courthouse in the live auctions. So they take these numbers. So this property that is going for auction, here we have the same information that auction.com has. So it's going to go for auction June 15 at 11 a.m. In Madison. Okay, we give you all the details for the property. So imagine if you were to go to the judicial auction in person, downtown Chicago, guess what? We're gonna tell you everything that you have to know about this property. So it has a lot of judgments right here or liens that you need to be aware of right below. We know the balance due is 133. We know how much the property is worth. And most importantly, we know the most you should pay for the property. Okay, but again, we wouldn't go to the live auctions because you have to pay cash. That's a big problem. Okay, now let me show you an example of a property that has been foreclosed on. Send the property to the auctioning platforms. So let me just give you an example of that. So in here, we are going to go to shadow inventory. Okay, this is the inventory that we can pull from the back door. We live in Schiller Park. I saw a property in Schiller Park. So I want to pull that up. Okay, this is it. Okay, so what I want to show you is I have the click on the Chicago one. Let me Schiller Park. Okay, so this property, this is what's extremely powerful, friends. So this property in Schiller Park, we know it's the size of the property, 5 bedrooms, 3 bathrooms. It's pretty big, 2,400 square feet. We can buy it for $200,000. So this is the reserve price. This is what people do not know when they go to the auctioning platforms. And we know this property is worth between 320 to 350. So imagine we're buying this property like 60 cents on the dollar if we wanted. So let me just give an example. If we take this address and then put it on Google right here. So I'm going to put it on Google. I'm going to show you that property. So the first one is Redfin, Zillow, Hudson and Marshall. So this property is already going to go to the auctioning platform at Hudson and Marshall. So this is going to go, auctioning dates is between the 1st and the 3rd, method online. So it doesn't tell you anything, any information about the property, right? So right here, oh, right here, it tells you current bid 92,000. But guess what? We know that the minimum bid for the bank to sell this property is going to be 200,000. So that's the bank's reserve. So people still need to bid on it. So there's still auction ends in 15 hours. So if nobody continues to bid on this property, it's just going to go back to the bank. Okay, it's just the auction is going to get canceled. Why? Because the reserve has not been met. Right now it's at 92. So it's not high enough. So if we wanted, we can just send an email even through here, inquiry button. So this is how it works. I could just say, is this available? And then we're gonna get an email back stating that, yeah, it's available. And then you can say, I wanna buy it. And then you're gonna get the sales contract directly from the bank. So it's extremely powerful. We can buy it for 200,000, but this is the key. Once you see the inventory right here and that it's on the sites, Hudson and Marshall, in this case, you've got to do your due diligence. The system says that it's occupied. So this is a big thing, right, guys? Occupancy. You've got to pursue properties that are vacant. You cannot buy properties that are occupied. The reason why is because you're not going to get funding for it. There are some lenders that are going to finance the deal if it's occupied, but guess what? They're gonna make you put a big down payment. Okay, why? Because it's just too risky. What are the drawbacks if the property is occupied? That you need to do an eviction of the owners. Not only that, but what's really dangerous is that they can vandalize the property, and it can take you, depending on the county, months before you can get rid of them. So it could be a big deal. Therefore, banks are not lending on occupied properties. They need to go inside the property and do an appraisal on it. Will not give you the money. And you wouldn't want to buy a property that it's occupied. It's just too risky. Although there's an exception for the rule, right? What I've done in the past is I found a great deal, and then the numbers make sense, location, everything, but it's occupied. So what I do is I go door knock, and then I talk to the owner and I say, listen, you know, you're going to lose your home. It's going to be auctioned off in a couple of weeks. I want to cut you a deal. I need access to the property for funding. So I need the bank to come in with an appraiser, and I also need to bring my contractors to do a scope of work. Okay, so this is what I'm willing to offer you. I'm gonna give you, you can call these cash for keys. I'm gonna give you between 2,000 to 3,000 or 3,500. Let's say $3,000 for you to settle somewhere else. So this is the agreement. What I need is, I need access for the bank, I need access for my contractors, and I need you to vacate the premises when I close on the property. Those are the three things that I need. In exchange, I want to give you $3,000. Does that work for you? And if it works for them, you have them sign a document, right, stating the terms, and then you're going to put that money in escrow with your attorney. So if they agree, that's awesome, because then we can try to pull the property, and then they're going to say, well, is the property occupied? Yes, it is, but you can have access to the property, and then you show them the agreement. So the bank is going to feel more comfortable if you have that agreement in place. But that's a little bit more sophisticated, right? So we've done that. But I just want you to keep it simple. Target properties that are vacant, okay? Save yourself some headaches. If it's vacant, then go for it. Okay, so once, let's say you decide to buy this property, if you want to do it through the auctioning site, you can either through these, but if you do it through the auctioning sites, you're going to be bidding against all other investors. So you will most likely overpay for the property unless you stick to the numbers that we tell you. You know, the max allowed offer, depending on your exit strategy, for a flip is this, for a rental is this, for a wholesale is this, okay? So you know what the numbers should be. In this case, as you can see, we can buy it for $200,000, but DealVault is telling me that if you want to do a flip, you shouldn't pay more than $184. Guys, flips right now are out of the question due to the crisis. So obviously we will keep it for a rental, right? So the most we should pay is $218, with the assumption the rehab is not gonna be more than $60,000. So I think if we're able to see the property, because even guys, if it says occupied, you always have to drive by the property, because we have two properties on the contract that we were able to pull. It said occupied. You've got to go drive. Most of the times, the tenants, the owners, have already left. So even if it says occupied, you've got to do your due diligence. Go check out the property from the outside, look at the condition, see if it's vacant or occupied, and then check to see if the property is open. You may already have access to the property. Sometimes they leave the doors open, the windows open. So it's happened to us that we pulled a couple of properties and we realized one window was open, the other property, the door was open. So right away we secure the property, right? So we put a lockbox, because we don't want squatters, we don't want vandalism in the property, especially when we know we're gonna buy the property. So that's just a tip of advice. You've got to be careful, but for sure, target vacant properties. Okay, so now on the sites, let me just give an example how you do it. So this is an online. So let's say this is in Chicago. Obviously, I would need to do due diligence. I just need to show you the process, what you need to look for. So here they give you the property description, estimated resale value. What this is the ARV, what they think the property is worth. They don't give you anything. Reserve, they don't show the reserve. This is what I was telling you. Most of the time, you don't know what the bank's reserve is. This amount is what the banks are going to sell it for. And then they tell you what the opening bid is. Now, if you scroll down, right here, it gives you more information about the property. But right here, what I was telling you is that interior access, you don't have access to the property. If you are a broker, or if you have a broker, they can get a commission for it. Cash only. You see this? It says yes. When you buy this inventory from DealVault, even if it says cash only, guess what? We will finance it. I mean, we can finance the deal. Not like DealVault is going to finance the deal, but we can get a hard money lender or private money lender and pay the bank using financing, okay? In fact, this is a clear example. So this is where you're going to be number one. This property, Man Prospect, we should be closing next Tuesday on this. You know, the current bid was 198 and it still have 1 day left, okay? And for these, they always say cash only. As you can see, below the bid now, right here, it says cash only. Do you see below the orange button? It says cash only. Well, guess what? We are not paying cash. We're financing the property, okay? And not only that, but look, the current bid was 198. We knew the reserve price. We knew the numbers from DealVault. The ARV is 280. So we got it on the contract for 161. Figure that, okay? Even if the website, people are already willing to pay close to 200,000, it doesn't matter. We are going to pay the reserve price, which is 161, which happens to be in this screen what the bank bought the property for, 159. So we're just paying what the bank got it for at the judicial auction. So that is just extremely powerful, guys. I just wanted to show you this. Let's go back to the example. So even if you do it by yourself, the problem is that indeed you have to pay cash for it. So that's a big problem. In some properties, you can finance the transaction, but most of them, they're asking for cash. But when you do it through DealVault, it doesn't matter if it says cash. We will control title. We have just the system already streamlined where we are able to finance the property, okay, through hard money lender. So the way to do it is you register for the auction if you decide to do this, but obviously you need to know your numbers. It says save successfully. So now when you register, you have to pay $2,500, but it's gonna be just a hold on your credit card. It's not gonna be a charge, it's just gonna be a hold. In case you win the bid, then you cannot back out unless you have a good reason, okay? So right here, it says, you know, bidder information, the terms, and the credit card, okay? They're gonna ask me for a credit card. So I have one in file for this on auction.com. So they're just gonna put a hold on your credit card for $2,500. If you don't win the bid, they're gonna release that hold. If you win the bid, they're gonna use that money because remember, you have to pay the buyer's premium, which is shown right here. Buyer's premium is gonna be 5% or $2,500. So if I'm the winner of the bid, they will immediately convert the hold of $2,500 into a transaction or a charge on my credit card. That's just how auction.com makes money, okay? And the rest of the money obviously is gonna go to the bank. For them to facilitate the auction, that's how they make money, with the buyer's premium that the bank doesn't pay, but you as the investor pays. Now, there's something very, I would say, dangerous that the websites like auction.com do, and it's called proxy bidding. What it means is that I might be the only investor interested in this property, but guess what? When I make a bid, auction.com will counter bid my bid. So I'm going to be pretty much competing against somebody from auction.com when investors think that they're competing against other investors. Well, no, auction.com does that. It's called proxy bidding. So they have somebody behind the scenes bidding against you so that you up your bid. I mean, it's just, that's how they do it. Okay, I just need to make you aware of it. But at the end of the day, you've got to know your numbers. What's the max I should pay? So it doesn't matter if they have an employee bidding against you. It doesn't matter because you know your bottom number. But in the first place, why would you want to enter a bidding war when you can pull it from the back door and pay the bank's reserve or what the bank is willing to sell it for, right? Why would you start a bidding war? It doesn't make sense, right? So we don't engage in bidding wars anymore at the auction sites. Before our connection from Texas, we did engage in bidding wars, and it's not good because usually you end up overpaying for the property. Okay, so that's an example of, once you register for the auction, you are going to need to give a credit card. So in this case, it's $2,500. Now, Hubzu.com, you also need to register with Hubzu.com. If you back out of the deal, if you back out 2 times, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 times, they can blacklist you and you won't be able to use their site anymore. So they want serious investors, okay? And then something that is very, very important, friends, you've got to have your financing in place. Before you start looking at auctions, you've got to have I talked about this last Sunday, your line of credit from your hard money lender or private money lender, whoever is going to give you the money, that has to be in place. Because once you say, I want to buy this property, or you bid and you win the bid, they're going to ask you for proof of funds, okay? They're going to ask you for line of credits, how you're going to follow through, how you're going to buy the property, okay? So you need to have that in place. You cannot bid and then back out because you can be blacklisted from anywhere. In fact, in DealVault, if you get access to that inventory, we will also need to have your line of credit and your entity docs, okay? Because once you decide to buy a property, we need to make sure that you follow through, okay? You cannot back out of the deal because, our partner is pulling all these strings to pull the property from the back door. So we want to make sure that you follow through, okay? So, but we'll help you with the process. Are there any questions on the line so far? Okay, I believe there's, are you getting the breaks because of the bank contacts? So because of the relationship we have with a partner in Texas, yeah, absolutely. We know every single property is bank reserve. Those that bid go above the reserve, we will never pay above the reserve. The reserve is how much the bank is willing to pay, sell the property for. Okay, so that's how much you need to pay. But when you are in these auctioning websites, the reserve might be 100,000, but it could go way over that. And that is the bank's objective, to put the property in an auctioning site so that people overbid each other. Even they're going to do a proxy bidding. They're going to be, the auction.com is going to be bidding against you so that you not only meet the reserve, but pay more, right? So this could be a very risky business. That is why we only pay reserve, right? And not only that, we don't need to engage in a bidding war. We will never, ever, ever overpay for a property. In fact, it's the opposite. We are going to buy the property with a ton of equity, okay? So the property that we're buying, yeah, it's just appraised. We got the appraisal, I think, late last week. It appraised for 100,000 more, 257. Okay, so those are the type of deals that you need to pursue, where you're just getting a great deal, because then you can do a flip, buy and hold, the wholesale, whatever you want to do. There's another question. Does the bank ever lower the reserve? There's an exception, okay? There's always an exception for everything. So the bank will lower the reserve if, let's say you get it on the contract today, let's say for 100,000, and that happens to be the reserve. Like right now, oh, this is a perfect example. 161, for instance, we got it on the contract, and then there's a lot of rain, and then we go check the property and there's flooding. We're gonna let the bank know, hey, listen, you know, we got on the contract for 161, but in between our contract date and our closing date, there's flooding. So they will usually give you a credit. They won't fix any issues. They will give you a credit, okay? That's how it works. So now the next question is, how do you get access to this inventory? So to get access to the inventory that I was telling you about, you have to be a yearly subscriber. And in fact, when you become a yearly subscriber, you're gonna save 15 to 20%. So DealVault on a monthly basis is 140. When you do the yearly, it's 120. So not only are you saving money, but we're gonna give you access to this shadow inventory where we give you the reserve. You're gonna know the reserve for every single property that is going to the auctioning platforms. So you will never, ever, ever overpay for the property. You will never, ever engage in bidding wars. And most importantly, you will always finance your transaction using an asset-based lender, such as a hard money lender or a private money lender, despite the fact whatever the website states regarding the funding. Even if they say cash only, it does not matter. We will always finance the transaction using an asset-based lender, which is huge, friends. Right now, we've been buying, we're gonna close on one next week, and then we schedule another one for hopefully 2 weeks down the road to close on another one. And again, it's banked on properties. Why are we focusing on that? Because of the great equity that we're getting, even when we have it on the contract. And that's when you make money in real estate. You don't make money in real estate once you rehab the property or rent it out. You make money in real estate the minute you get it on the contract for the right price, okay? Another question is, any restrictions with the banks and wholesaling the property as the exit strategy? Do you have to double close? Oh, okay, great question, Valerie. So when we give you access to this inventory, you cannot wholesale the property or double close. You have to buy the property. And after the fact, then you can do anything you want. You can wholesale it, you can wholesale it, you can flip it, buy and hold, do anything you want, but you've got to follow through. The reason why is because our partners are putting all these strings to get the property in front of you at the right price. And if for whatever reason, let's say they were to allow you to wholesale the property and the end buyer backs out and the whole thing falls through the cracks, we need to save face, right? I mean, people at the auctioning sites are doing a lot of work to pull these behind the back door. So it's got to follow through. There's no questions about that. So you can wholesale, double close, or anything. You have to buy the property. That's simple. So guys, I want to make sure that all of you, I'm going to do a quick summary of what we did, just to make sure that you understand. I'm going to have these up in front of you. So you don't want to show up at the auction, right? This is in person. You're going to overpay for the property. Tank. So these are in person live auctions at the courthouse. Okay, never ever come to these. You can lose your shirt. So this is within the foreclosure process. So you've got to wait after the bank has taken over the property. Okay, and then the bank is going to send the property to the auctioning platforms. So at that point, every single property that goes to the auction platforms, we know what the reserve is. Not only that, we're going to allow you to put it from the back door, zero competition, finance the property, never ever overpay for the property, which is huge, friends. So I want to make sure that all of you understand this. And then just the tricky part on auction.com is that is confusing that they advertise or promote live auctions. So that's the only site that does that. The rest of them are online auctions. Okay, just be aware of that. Another question is, I'm in California. Sounds interesting to use your inventory, although the properties have equity already. I want to hold and make them Rentals, how can I tell if the property are in good areas as A, B, C, attractive areas? Oh, very simple. So in DealVault, once you identify a property, let's say any property, right, like this one, how did you know if this is in a great area? So right here, we have market trends and market overview right here. So we have a tab right here, and we're gonna tell you everything that you need to know on the area for this particular property. So we're gonna tell you about the schools, crime, um, all the details, whether it's an A area, B area. So check this out. And I love this feature. So this is the property. So I'm gonna scroll down, and then I'm gonna show you schools on this. So I just click on schools. This is an integration that we do with Trulia, okay? So right here, I clicked on schools, for instance. So we're gonna tell you, whoa, schools are not so good. 4447, I can tell you about crime right here. I click on crime. So the light blue is safe, and then the dark blue is not so safe. So you can really get a feel for it. So you can do photos, street view, commute, shops, everything. Okay, and not only that, but you can look up. This is just a random property that I picked in DealVault. You can also find, so this is in AllSip. So I can go to area reports and then pull up AllSip, right? And then we're gonna give you everything AllSip that there is to know what type of area this is, what exit strategies it supports. So the whole 9 yards, we're gonna give you about the area. So you will know whether it's an A area, B area, whether it's a rental, flip market, what the household income is, vacancy rates, the whole 9 yards, okay? Everything is right here, crime, schools, in a lot of detail, demographics, population growth, the whole thing. So you're gonna know for sure what you need. So that's in a nutshell, a summary, guys. Remember, never go to the live auction. Always either go to the online auction, hubzooauction.com, Hudson and Marshall, Williams and Williams. But before that, make sure you have your financing in place with a hard money lender or private money lender. You have estimate and also the max allowed offer, depending on your exit strategy. You've got to know your numbers. But in the first place, why should you engage in bidding wars when you can pull the property from the back door and pay the reserve price? And not only that, but finance the property. That is huge. So guys, what I'm gonna offer you now is, I wanna make sure that you are always first in line. So to be first in line, all you need to do is have the yearly membership. So I'm gonna make the same offer as I did on Sunday, which is huge. This is the offer. So it's the Blue Angel that is going to give you the access to that inventory. Okay, so to sign up with the Blue Angel, we're going to add a few bonuses. So the Blue Angel is the membership of DealVault, which includes all the off-market properties, MLS access, comps, mailers, deal alerts, everything. On top of that, we're going to give you access to our CRM. This is it. We're going to give you access to the banked on inventory, right? The ability to buy directly from large banks, paying reserve price. This is huge, and be able to finance the transaction. On top of that, we're gonna give you more bonuses. Like we're gonna assign a dedicated virtual assistant to find off-market deals for you. We're gonna be able to partner up with you on deals. We're gonna give you scripts that we presented at the bootcamp. We're gonna blast your wholesale deals. We're gonna give you the top flip and rental markets. We're gonna give you the scope of work detailed, the spreadsheet, so that you can estimate your rehabs easily in less than 5 minutes. We're gonna give you the rule of thumbs on rentals and flips, what you need to do, how much you need to pay for them, and so forth. All the details for flipping and rentals. And also we're gonna give you a spreadsheet that is gonna tell you whether you should flip or rent. And we're going to give you the recording of the bootcamp. So all of that combined, you know, if you were to add a price inventory, but the whole thing is pretty much priceless. And what's really amazing, guys, is that when you sign up, we're going to give you for $120 a month, which is billed yearly, a 30-day money-back guarantee. So you can try it, check it out. If it works for you, awesome. If not, no questions asked. We're going to give you your money back. Are there any questions on the line? I want to make sure that all of you have this ability so that you can buy the properties. You're going to be flying a Blue Angel, and that's what we're doing, right? So we're sharing all our resources. I want to make sure that you will never ever overpay for a property in auction. Not only that, but you can finance the property. Never ever ever pay cash, even if you were to have the cash, okay? Because I want to make sure that you preserve your liquidity. So yeah, guys, we're gonna give it to you for free. 30-day trial, and then it's $120 a month, okay, to give you that priceless inventory. So I'm gonna stay on the line to help anyone who is interested in taking the next step. So to get started, what I'm going to do is I'm going to email you, not email you, I'm gonna put it in the chat. It's just a link to the sign up page. So this is how you sign up right here. And then on the screen, fill this out. And then for the package, you need to select Special Blue Angel, and the promo code is auction. Okay, so the promo code right here is auction. So the package is Special Blue Angel. Okay, try it for 30 days, 30-day money back. Okay, so try it, check it out. We'll train you unlimited one-on-one. I want to make sure that you're successful today, guys. And what's most important is that you leverage from everything we put together, because if you were to try to put all of these together, it will take you years. So please save that time and effort, and instead try what we've done, because your small investment is gonna come back to you 100 times fold, whereas the time spent away from your family in trial and error is wasted effort and is gone forever. So we want to make sure that you're successful today. So if you want to try this, all you need to do is go to that link, select the package Special Blue Angel, promo code is auction, 30-day money back guarantee. If you're already a DealVault member, all you need to let me know if you want to upgrade to the Blue Angel. If you're on a month-to-month and you want to upgrade to the Blue Angel, or just let me know via the chat if you want to upgrade to the Blue Angel. We're going to give you all the bonuses that we gave at the bootcamp.